All right, so coach is trying to keep it as real as possible on this one. Because the last thing I want to do is for my channel to be perceived as somehow depressing or like nihilistic in any way, or like, like, sure, we're a little bit jaded, right? We'll take that. But we are not hopeless. By no means. If we were hopeless, why would we be believing in anything, let alone something nobody else can believe? We have the most faith on YouTube. Nobody else has enough faith, enough balls to stake their credibility on Bailey Zappi in the Browns going to the fucking Super Bowl and losing to Hendon Hooker. It almost sounds crazy when I say it, like when I'm not thinking like of how logical and obvious it is, right? Like when you just say it like that, like how somebody else would think of it, it's like, oh wow, yeah, like that sounds ridiculous. Right? Who would think that? But yeah, no, like I got all my money there. I've put enough of it down, right? So I'm just saying, I wanna I wanna tell you like what coach really feels, what coach really believes. You don't have to agree with this. It's a coach has a very complex belief system, right? Now, as far as my background, okay, I was pretty well educated. Okay, so I did go to Christian schools, all that sort of stuff. I won an award called the Greenbrier Award, which was apparently somehow prestigious. I always was top 1% on every single standardized test I ever took. That's no cap, to the point that when I was 12, they asked me to take the SATs. I scored high enough that Johns Hopkins gave me a full ride, and not just a scholarship, but also a sponsorship. So they not only paid for my education, they paid for my materials, they paid for my room and board, everything but the flight ticket, or the gas in the car, right? Literally everything else, they had it down. So, and I was able to go to literally any single school I wanted, and I could take any single class from this big book of classes at all the different schools, right? Like it'd show you what school, what classes they got, you pick which one you want. Okay. Now, I do not want this to somehow be perceived as coach was in any way privileged. I know a lot of people are privileged and they cry poor. I am not crying poor. I am proudly proclaiming upper lower class. Like low class with some class. Right? Like that's it. Like I I didn't even, like, my mom had to find out that like I had a senior trip that was $500, like, to go to DC and like pay. Like I was never gonna ask my mom for something like that. Like, to let you know, like, we definitely, I wouldn't say we were like starving or struggling or anything like that. But honestly, if we're keeping it real, I mean, coach lived without water, coach lived without heat, like no gas for like a year, right? So coach has been down on action, and that wasn't just a one-time thing, right? There was a couple times like that. So definitely, I mean, I lived in some of the poorest areas, in notoriously poor areas, right? Like not the worst of the worst of the worst, but like just a step above. Like, thank God I don't smell dead bodies right now, literally, and like that's an hour away. Like, you know what I mean? So uh basically, definitely not trying to make it seem like, oh, like I had, like, then like they wanted me or whatever. Like, I don't know why I had that opportunity apart from testing so well. Like, if things are the way that I think about it, other than like they want to condition some of us to do their bidding, right? Like maybe that was the game. Like they just see the test numbers, that sort of stuff. They're like, we can somehow get this guy in the club or whatever. They did ask me like a bunch of weird questions and stuff while I went to school, but I took weird classes. Now, the first year, there wasn't any weird questions. I went real traditional. I took American law, major problems in constitutional history, and I freaking smoked it. And I mean, absolutely smoked it. I was captain of the debate team, undefeated, doing stuff like, death penalty, schmortion, right? So, all that sort of stuff, right? Never lost, no joke. Also undefeated in ultimate frisbee during the stretch, and two third place finishes in 3-on-3 basketball tournaments, and my two teammates literally just signed up to like stand on the side so I could legally have 3 people on the team to play. Like they were not playing ball, and I made it the many rounds just like, okay, coach just gonna stroke like 10 23s in a row this game. Boom, 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 boom. All right, here's another one. Boom, 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 boom. And the last game, both times we knocked out close, and coach got robbed. This was definitely a come on coach moment. This whole time in full court, they stick us on some half court BS, and I throw up a shot, hits the backboard, hits the rim. Their dude grabs the ball, goes right up and shoots it. And like their coach acted like I airballed it. And the ref was like, oh, I guess so. So that's how I lost. And like that's just that type of stuff. I feel like, some things like the fix is just in. Like, no way you didn't fucking know we hit the fucking rim. Like you'll know how ball bounces. Like you didn't realize how suspiciously long that was in the air. You thought we airballed that? Like, what are you talking about? So, you know what I mean? You know what it is. Same stuff that they show you on TV, right? That happens in real life. And they act like, oh, it's just an honest mistake. And coach doesn't buy it. So, and that's why he punched somebody. And he punched somebody. Then he had a girl come up to him after that game, say that she thought that was really hot. And she wanted to do something to coach that he had never done before because he was only 12 years old and she was 16. Right. So coach was balling pretty early. Right. Now, as far as... Oh yeah, so do really well in that class. Come back the next year. I chose bioethics as far as the school I chose. I went to Lafayette College. I could have gone to something, like fancy or whatever. The campus was killer, right? And I think maybe I should have chose Lehigh one year, but everything happens for a reason. I got no regrets at Lafayette. We had a great time. Next year I chose bioethics, probably the best class I ever took in my life. Study of human morals. We watched shit like Gattaca, all sorts of good stuff. Gattaca was definitely the standout, though. I was really impressed with that one. I've seen a bunch of times since, of course. We had awesome textbooks, like multiple textbooks, super thick. I read them all. I loved them. It was all these, it's like the first time I ever took a class where they were, like, asking you, like, what you thought instead of, like, remember this and just repeat it, right? It was literally like, well, like, we got to figure out, like, what's good and what's bad and, like, what we feel about it, right? So coach is all about that. And there's a moment early on in the class where it was a shmooish girl, and the teacher asked, like, if anybody believes in God, and, like, he literally just asked her why, and she couldn't think of a reason why, and she just broke down crying, like, cringeworthy or whatever, and then coach, like, stepped up and was like, I do this or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, coach just played it straight. He didn't know what he believed in at all, and he's like, oh, whatever. And like they'd ask weird stuff about like simulations and like cloning and all that sort of stuff. And it started getting coach's gears turning at a pretty early age. Like, what's really going on here? Why are they asking this stuff? They're asking this stuff like it matters. Like I need to actually have an opinion on cloning and simulation machines like that control people, like that people are in and may not know they're in. Like, why would I need to know that? You know what I mean? So it's just very, like, for a 13-year-old, you know what I mean? Like, I loved it. I was definitely the standout in the class. But, and, like, they just showed a lot of stuff that, like, coach just really thinks, they're telling you this is all fake. You know what I mean? But, like, I had to watch stuff get dissected, all that sort of dumb stuff. But as far as, so back on point, and then like other classes I took. So I took a bunch of religious classes. I took class on magic at like Virginia. Barely passed out. It was one of the few classes I didn't do really good in. Barely pass out. I needed every single answer on every single. You know what I mean? Like I couldn't afford to miss one more than what I missed, and I tried my hardest on every one of them. You know what I mean? It's like got that one. I never huge on the science, I'll be honest. Coach is like a natural physics whiz kinda, but chemistry, biology, it honestly just makes him sick and he throws up. So he ain't about that stuff. But as far as, let's see, anything medical, that's just not me. No. Took like a ton of sociology, ton of psychology classes, like watched all sorts of good movies in class, like Fight Club and Clockwork Orange and Full Metal Jacket, and like a lot of these I was watching in high school. Like we had to get permission slips signed, all that sort of stuff. Falling Down, like just bangers, dude. Like my teachers were awesome. You know what I mean? Like I would just be like good timing. Like I got it that like they weren't of the norm of the school, right? Like you'd be like, oh, it's the oddball, nobody wants to be. And I'm like, I'm signing up for like 5 of his classes, dude. And like he would try something where like, it's like let's let the students decide like how much work they do. Of course, none of us did shit, and it failed. But I feel bad for him because he was actually on the level. We should have picked up the slack for him and let him try to change stuff from the inside. But he, you know, he was definitely controlled. He was an actor, all that sort of stuff. You know, that was when I went to a really weird school. It was really like small town thing. Most schools I went to were like small town things. But as far as, let's see, so then obviously I'm leaving out most of the sports stuff, right? Like we got all sorts of basketball, football. We're just gonna focus on the education. We got like all of like the ancient Greek stuff, like the Plato's and I can't believe I can't remember the one I actually really Heraclides. Is that it? You know what I mean? I'm not great with names sometimes, but like, you know, I love how they would do the style where it's like two people talking and they're like thinking through it. You know what I mean? Like I love that, and obviously the cave. Like, so what else? Other classes I took. I took every religion. I got all sorts of stuff from Yale. Like 8 classes from Yale, like all like 100%. Like what we got? Like Western religion, Eastern religion, indigenous religion. We got the Eastern one, like that had like, it would be like specific ones inside. It would be like, this is Jainism and Hinduism and all that sort of stuff. You know what I mean? Like, so it would show like all the ones that are in it, and but like a lot of them were like, oh man, there's more religions that I can't believe I can't remember all of them. But like Coach would take like anything that he thought was BS, or like he wanted to learn more about, like see like how are they gonna spin this? They're not gonna ask any good questions. They never do. They always, from it. Coach always realized that like they're trying to get you to lie, right? And the one that pissed me off the most, I took this class. It was called Conspiracy Planet, right? I knew it wasn't on the level right away because it said Planet, but I was like, well, let's go see what's up. Right away, the teacher's like, you know, I had somebody, you know, family members die in the never forget moment. Like, I knew for sure, like, oh, here we go. This guy's going to say, like, you're not actually allowed to ask, like, real conspiracies. Like, there's rules to the conspiracies you can make, right? Like, so I knew that right away with a big eye roll. And I did good until the final. And I could have easily had done the very best on the final. I could have got the credit, but I chose not to get a credit on this one. Like, it was my integrity over this bullshit, right? And I wasn't chasing a degree or nothing anyway, so I didn't care. You know what I mean? So, it was free. So, I just, yeah, the rule was you can make any conspiracy you want that you know is false. And I left out like how like the whole class is telling you like all these, like all they focus on is these known liars who make up conspiracy, but they sell like mad numbers with the books and stuff like that. I'm like, F you, you're so lame. Like, you know what I mean? It's just exactly what. So it's like there's never going to be anything in the higher education system, no matter how fancy the name or anything like that, that's actually going to try to help you or tell you anything, in my opinion. It's all bought out. It's all in the club. You know what I mean? You might luck out and get one good teacher that'll help you think or something like that, but it's highly doubtful that they're able to get in any sort of meaningful position if they're not like entirely compromised, in Coach's opinion, right? That's not saying I never had good teachers or anything like that, but, you know, they got to be blind if they're in those positions, right? So as far as, you know, like I said, I could name a bunch of other, you know, bullshit classes or whatever. The point is, none of those really make Coach smarter. All the stuff he learned, you know, outside of those classes about that stuff, you know, especially listening to people kind of like me, you know what I mean? Like that's where Coach got smarter, was just hearing people just talk like normal people. And you know, be like, you really believe this stuff they're selling you? Like, yeah, you aced it all, you know it all. Like, but like, is it real? It's like, you know what, man, I think you're right. It's bullshit. You know what I mean? And big ups to mostly flat earthers on that one. Thankfully, they're the ones that finally like broke the wall. You know what I mean? Like I said, I had all that stuff in my brain, but it was just like that cognitive dissonance stuff. So, you know, definitely the flat earther stuff, then the fake animal stuff, you know. Whatever the big trends are, you know what I mean? Like I was kind of I went through them pretty quick. I mentioned the big one. The big one that got me is the, you know, the big one, right? Like the you go to the go cry at the museum one. Like that's the one that I questioned first, and I was like, that ain't real. So that was the one that broke it all down for me. Like obviously I knew like the towers and all that sort of stuff, but that's easy, right? You know what I mean? Like it's hard to question the big one with the gas, right? So Just saying. Now, as far as, so what was Coach, I know, I can't believe I went for 15 minutes before I even got into any of this. So I want to tell you, like, my beliefs, right? So after going through all that sort of stuff, like, what do I actually think? Coach has always interpreted things incredibly literally. He thinks it's important to choose your words extremely carefully. He doesn't know why he refers to himself in the third party other than possible entertainment value, something like that. Sounds better in my head when I switch up. Makes it less boring saying different pronouns. It's not like sometimes people will say like they and stuff to refer to themselves, or like, because it's like some sort of demon horde thing or whatever. I don't think that's what's going on. I don't think there's no way that demons have any sort of control over me or anything like that. Maybe they have a little bit over all of us. And I was going to kind of get into that in a little bit. But basically, like, where are we? Right? Like I said, I don't want it to be hopeless, all that sort of stuff. But where are we? Okay? So, in Coach's opinion, we are rock bottom. We aren't spinning, floating around somewhere, heading who knows where. We're right where we're meant to be, stuck at the very bottom. And we also happen to be if you're like me, pretty much like, not even talking like financially or anything like that, but as far as like social status, we're the very lowest, right? Or at least close to it. Like maybe we have a little bit of good looks or something like that, or we come from a family of people who are in the freak show, and we got a little bit of benefit from that somehow. But for the most part, um, just the very, like, you don't get to know what's you don't get taught what the people who run shit get taught, right? It's information it conquers all, right? And they control the information, they control the past, the present, and the future, right? Because they control the media, they control the history books, all that sort of stuff. They make you wear a watch, right? All that sort of stuff. So rock bottom. Now, I just think, wherever we are, it's still, and you can't get any lower. But I think it's interesting that they tell you that we're on a rock, and they refer to being at your very lowest as rock bottom, right? So I think we're basically in the rock bottom realm, and sort of what they tell you with the ball earth thing is true. I think there may be a liquid, right? A hot liquid below us, right? The whole lake of fire deal. But, um, let's see. Yeah, so I mean, like, once, like, with the rivers burning, the Cuyahoga, all that sort of stuff, it just got me thinking of symbology. I've never been one to take a lot of this stuff too literally, but I'm starting to think I should have. Right? Like, I think there really might be this thing going on right here. And you look at Lake of Fire by Nirvana. Where do bad folks go when they go? They don't go to heaven where the angels fly, right? Like, they go down to the lake of fire and fry. Won't see him again till the 4th of July? What? I know that just blew your mind. Right? Won't see him again until the 4th of July. Oh man. When our country was founded, and when they're planning some big thing with Musk and Trump or whatever they're doing. Ooh. People cry. Let's see. Bones. Angels and devils try to make their own. Yeah, so nothing else really that much fun there. I didn't think so. But yeah, so like Lake of Fire, it's in all sorts of different. I mean, ancient Egypt, Christianity, right? They say it's in the Dead Sea. But I thought it was interesting. 2006 documentary film titled Lake of Fire was shortlisted for an Academy for Best Documentary Feature, right? And I'm sure it's about some BS environmental thing. We're going to go ahead and we're going to watch that for sure. But that's what Coach goes, is leaning towards. Like, I'm definitely not claiming like Christian or Muslim or anything like that. It's just kind of like, I guess vaguely Christian, but I don't identify with like the cross stuff at all or the crucifixion stuff. I more believe in karma, reincarnation, sci-fi stuff like multiple dimensions, what do you call it? Like the multiverse. I think we're in like a groundhog day. I think you do the same stuff over and over again until you get it right. You constantly, like, once you're done with this life, you go into the other person's life. Like, we're all the same person. Like, Coach is like hippy dippy about it, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's what feels right to me. Like, I can't explain it, but something weird's going on, right? And that's what feels right to me. But as far as, this is what I wanted to say. This is the whole point right here. We are at the bottom, and we probably are the lowest social class at the bottom. It's not where you want to be. Let's keep it a buck. And it kind of feels like that. If you look around and you hear how people talk, it kind of feels like that's where they think they are, right? And that's why they turn to like some of these horrible substances, all that sort of stuff. But the point is, you don't belong here, right? You just are here. I don't know if they tricked us into being here. I don't know if we're being here as a punishment, but I certainly don't think we're stuck here forever, right? Unless we don't do whatever it is we're supposed to do. But I don't think it's some crazy superstitious thing or whatever. Like, I think it's just being pure of heart. Like, just don't lose your soul. Don't completely sell out. Hopefully that's enough, right? You know what I mean? Like, who knows, man? Like, if anybody knows the secret, let me know. But I don't claim to know it all. Like, I do, like I say, I give the glory to God. I assume that's what's protected me, because that's the other thing too. Here's a story with me and my cousin, my Kid Rock loving cousin, right? So we were left out in the woods as a test. We didn't know it was a test, right? Coach had a suspicion because he's pretty hip to stuff. But we were really young, and they just dropped us in the woods in the dark, right? Drove off, turned off the lights, the whole deal. Like, we couldn't see nothing. Coach has terrible vision, right? And is night blind, right? So I truly couldn't see anything. It was pitch dark, right? And almost immediately I could tell my cousin was like freaking out, right? He's like, oh my God, like crying. He was literally crying, right? And I mean, like, I was gonna act like scared or whatever, you know what I mean? Because it was a little bit scary. But I mean, it was like, oh no, like, I just gotta act like I'm not scared at all, and I kind of wasn't anyway. So, I was like, oh man, like, it's good. I was like, dude, like, whatever is out here now, like, it's out here during the day, you know what I mean? Like, and that's how I feel with the freaky stuff. Like, just because you're able to see them now and you're aware of them, it certainly doesn't make them any scarier, right? They've always been here, the same as you have, and you've been fine so far. If they wanted and could do worse to you, it would have already happened. So why don't they, as like some people think, like, oh, why don't they just kill me or something like that? I think that's the tell that they don't have you, right? Like, I think they only like kill you or let you die when it's like either they've got your soul, or like they've just absolutely given up. They've just been completely beaten and they just want you out of here because you're just going to do more damage to their stuff, right? So to me, like, being alive, like, unless in some way, like, if you feel alive, like you feel the love of God, all that sort of stuff, you haven't like turned to the dark side, like if you're actually like living and enjoying life, like, to me, that is the tell, like, that they're not coming to take that from you. Like, they want to trick you into selling out, you know what I mean, before you go. So we haven't sold out yet, most likely, you know what I mean, is what Coach's wager is. Now, as far as then, so what do? Just let your dim light shine, as Soul Asylum told us. Okay? That's all we can do. Just let it shine. Truly be yourself. Everybody says that, and then they go and they do what everybody else does. I think you can tell Coach kind of does his own thing. I'm pretty sure you probably do your own thing. Just keep doing your own thing. Be weird, but be really comfortable about it. If you're having to force it or something like that, it's not what you're supposed to be doing. Even if you may think you love that thing, you may, and you're really good at it. Maybe God just has other plans. And like, to me, this is what feels right to me for whatever reason. Like, usually coming on camera, putting my thoughts out there, all that sort of stuff, it would give me huge anxiety, right? Like I would just be so nervous, like, oh my God, what if they think this and that? And sometimes when I know I made a mistake, you know what I mean? And it's rare. You know, especially I'll upload a lot for how rare, like where I'm on pins and needles about something I said. I do it. The coach does a pretty good job, right? But it actually relaxes me to come on camera. And like I can't believe I would talk for 25 minutes. But based on how much y'all got into that hour and a half one, I kind of thought y'all might want something like this. So let's hope that's the plan, and let's hope I put enough good stuff in this one, and it wasn't like too just general. Like I said, coach just doesn't know, so I can't give you a lot of like specifics. I would love to hear your opinion if you got deeply held spiritual beliefs and what you lean towards. Coach is up in the air. He just gives it all to whatever's good. The good. That's all I claim. I claim the good. I'm not claiming I am good. I'm just claiming I'll fuck with those guys. Like I'll fight for that. You know what I mean? Like I might not deserve them or whatever type of mercy I'm getting or something like that. But yeah, I'll stick up for them. Like I get some feelings sometimes. I've seen some things that were very special and seemed like were just for me, or like I was allowed to do something that felt like I wished for that seemed impossible. Right? Like I'll give that to the good guys. I'm not gonna give that to whoever's doing this weird stuff on TV. So that's what I got.